Check, check.
Check, 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 check. Well, hey, everybody. It's good to be back on the Double Take podcast this week.
I'll do it this time. Hi, friends. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Josh. I appreciate you.
Well, I don't want people to be disappointed they didn't hear you do. Hi, friends.
I seem like I said hi, friends.
You said hello, folks.
Oh.
Yep.
Well, I was trying to be a little more professional.
A little more dignified.
A little more dignified. That's right. I'm Southern Baptist. I have to be dignified. But we have with us today
A legend.
A legend, really.
Yes.
Scott Howard.
Yeah.
A lot of people will remember that name from his tenure with Legacy 5, and but he and Josh worked together in Legacy 5
It's the greatest
for a while.
years of your life, wasn't it, brother?
Yeah, well, it was obviously the greatest years of Legacy 5. It's kind of gone downhill since we've been gone, seem to be like.
Oh, boy.
No,
We're not
those guys
judging, though, are we?
They're doing great.
They are.
So how long you been gone? How long have you been gone from Legacy 5?
May of 19.
5 years.
May of 19.
5 years.
So it was 5 years. 5
Yeah.
years in May. Yeah.
Coming up
So
on
we're going to
6.
get into
Wow.
what you've been up to since then. We'll get into
Yeah.
what kind of got you into all that and, growing up. So
Yep.
take it away, Josh.
You start just talking. No, I'm kidding. One thing about Scott Howard is he can tell a story, and he has me laughing from the second he starts it, and it's usually with just a little motion or something that he does.
Because he's heard them all. And
I have, and I know what's
he knows
coming,
what's coming.
and I can't. I run it for everybody else. But West Monroe, was it West Monroe or Monroe?
West Monroe.
West Monroe.
Yeah, back when
Louisiana.
I was there, there was there's a river. The Ouachita River runs between West Monroe and Monroe, and that was the chasm between the two cities. I mean, people from Monroe didn't want to be tell anybody they were from West Monroe and vice versa.
Yeah.
So were you on the same side of the river as the duck people, or on the other
Yes.
side of the
Yeah.
river?
Yep, same
Same
side
side.
as the duck guys.
Was Monroe more uppity?
It was.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And that's interesting too, because when I was growing up, Monroe was where you went to go shopping, or we had J.C. Penney's and Montgomery Ward's, and I'm not trying to brag, folks. I'm just telling you the truth.
Oh, I remember Montgomery Ward's. We had one of them.
So yeah, it was more of the urban city. West Monroe was really more rural, and so everything that went on, there was a civic center in Monroe that if there was a concert came to town, that's where it would happen.
Mm-hmm.
They started doing some stuff, some gospel concerts at the high school in West Monroe.
West Monroe, yeah, we were there last year.
There was this, huge flip-flop, and there was a mass exodus from Monroe to West Monroe. The population's just almost inverted. West Monroe just shot up, and Monroe went down, and so now it's just opposite.
No idea why
Wow.
that.
Everything is in West
Crazy.
Monroe, and Monroe is kind of
Property, you know what? Property developers saw it was cheaper property in West Monroe and bought it all up and started developing properties
been.
there. Yeah, that's probably what it
or
was.
maybe when I moved out.
That's what I was thinking, because that was around the time that you moved
It
to
is.
Nashville.
It
Yeah.
is.
But now you were singing. You grew up. You were kind of a band guy
Right.
in school.
Yep. Yeah. I never sang. I was in the band from elementary school.
Which explains your reading. One of the greatest readers of, like, we're in the studio. If he's got it out and it's written out musically,
Yeah, that's
he locked, boy, just pound makes me.
what I needed. So yeah, I did the band thing forever. Honestly, until my senior year in high school, which is it's funny because I had figured out in high school if your fourth period class was downstairs, you had first lunch shift. We had 2 lunch shifts. If your fourth period class was upstairs, you had second lunch shift. So I scheduled a study hall for fourth period, it wasn't either upstairs or downstairs. So I had a study hall and then a 2-hour lunch. So I had 3 hours in the middle of the day that was nothing. Well, the
Duck hunting or fishing been a good time, wasn't
the
it?
choir director at the school, a friend of mine was in the choir and said, "Hey, this guy in here singing."
Ah,
So she literally blackmailed me. She said, "You can either come join the choir or
Wow.
I'm going to change your schedule.
Turn you in.
Yes.
Mess everything up.
So she blackmailed me into going into the choir.
That's hilarious.
And so I got in there and then got with some guys, and they were into the Southern gospel thing, which I didn't know anything about.
yeah.
So we started singing some stuff, and it was fun. And so everything just kind of
took off from there.
Yeah.
He did local, like some regional local stuff there.
Yeah, we had
But now it was kind of a mixed group, wasn't it?
It was. Yeah. So I did that for probably 12 or 13 years.
Did you
just
sing
a
bass?
Weekend. Yeah. And it wasn't, again, it was a mixed group thing,
Yeah.
so it wasn't really bass. But
Listen,
I was
Bourbon Porter. I mean, Berman. Yeah, Berman. That's Berman's last name.
Berman Porter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give me that B flat.
Oh, yeah.
Anytime you see Berman.
Yeah, he'd always say
That's
we
the
were
best B
about
flat
the
in
same
gospel
range,
music
same
right
range.
there. So
Did you grow up? I mean, was that your first introduction to Christian music, or did you kind of grow up with it in the church? Or
Yeah, I guess that was my introduction to gospel type music. You know, I grew up in the church, and but it was just hymns and stuff. There is all we ever did. My introduction, and I mean, you can just kind of, just like just about everybody else that's in this music. The cathedrals were kind of the.
oh yeah,
They were the pinnacle.
That would have been in the 80s.
yeah,
Yeah.
When you were
So
getting into that.
Yeah, my parents were huge Cathedral fans, so they talked me into going to a concert, and so that's when it was Roger and Mark and Kurt were all there,
yeah.
and we were all roughly the same age.
Yeah.
So it was those three young guys and then the two old guys. So
Now, how old were them old guys at that time?
probably in their 50s,
I think they were.
They wasn't that old.
way younger than me.
But they
now.
always seems George
Yeah.
and Glenn always seemed old.
So I'd always, when they'd come to town, I'd go pick them up, and we'd go, fishing or
Yeah.
skiing or whatever. So we all got to be buddies that way, and
So is that how you and Roger came to be friends?
yeah, it's really cool. We got to be buddies through that, just them coming to town and singing. Well, here's something a lot of folks don't know. When cathedrals were getting ready to, their bus driver, Bud Seeker, that had been there for years and years, he was getting ready to retire. They were going to hire a bus driver. And so Roger was after me, man, you need to come with this bus driver. We can go do stuff every night. You'd be there. So I'm like, man, that'd be awesome. So anyway, I went and applied for the bus driver job, and Glenn hired me.
Really?
Yes.
Uh-oh. Here comes George.
And
I hear it coming.
Seeker came. Bud told me, he said, hey, you don't want this job.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
He told me, he said, man, you don't want to do that. You don't want to be. But yeah, that was just an interesting little tidbit of
I didn't know
information.
that. That's interesting.
But yeah, I thank God all the time that. I mean, my God,
might have ruined everything.
I never would have survived. I mean, I couldn't have done that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that helped put everything in place. So
But then you ended up moving because Roger, y'all became so close.
Yeah.
Debbie and Kelly became so close.
Yeah.
Y'all moved to Franklin.
Yeah.
Or did you move to Little Pond?
yeah, I moved to Thompson Station.
Thompson Station, yeah.
Yep. Roger and I actually bought property together there.
That's where the Legacy 5 bus was when I came there.
Yep.
Was at your place. Beautiful area out there.
So yeah, there was a house there on the property, and then Roger and Debbie built later on. So we were right there. And when I came to Tennessee, I actually came up here. I was working for a tire company.
Yeah.
I'd worked for Firestone for years back home, and came up here and went to work for a tire company, and was there for a little over a year, I guess. And Roger actually hired me to work for him because they were still doing the cathedral thing, but he and Ernie and Scott had all started doing solo dates.
Right.
So
that cathedrals had really scaled back to 100 dates a year, and then they were basically doing 2 days a week, and then the younger guys could go do solo dates.
Yep. Cathedrals were pretty much doing Friday and Saturday,
Yeah.
and then Roger he'd book a Sunday, and he was doing all their mail order stuff, and that was back in the day when they had songbooks
Which meant you were doing all their mail order stuff.
So that was my job. That's what he hired me to do. So we built an office there between he and I. And so I'd run that mail order business through the week, and then usually they'd leave out on Thursday night. So the way it worked, if Roger had a solo date, I'd just go with them. I'd go on the bus and go out with the group for Friday and Saturday, and then Roger and I would either drive or fly or whatever to the solo date on Sunday.
So, Chris, how neat would that have been to be able, the last 2 years of Cathedrals, been able to go be on every night? I mean, it's probably you probably thought it was a neat thing.
It was really cool, and looking back at it, I mean, it's, of course, God orchestrates stuff that you don't ever realize at the time, but the old 20/20 hindsight thing.
Yeah.
Looking back at it now, I didn't have a clue about, a quartet or being on a bus or any of that stuff. So I got to kind of see how all that worked, and those guys were just, they were just the best. They just,
oh yeah,
they did it right.
Well, not only that, but as he was saying that, I'm sitting here thinking about that's the Cathedrals in nearing the end of their career, and how busy that mail order service must have been.
Yeah, it was.
And how much y'all were shipping out each week.
And product, it was unbelievable the amount of product that they would carry. Literally, they'd fill the bays on the bus, and the back lounge on that
stack
bus.
It full.
It was stacked. They burnt the rear end out of that bus just, from hauling product.
Wow.
Good grief.
It was nuts. Yeah, those
Well,
last
everybody
few
was
years.
clamoring to get it because they knew it was going away. And, they had a lot left over. They didn't have a lot, but they had some left over. When Gary and Ernie started Signature Sound, they made their first year off of
Wow.
all that leftover product
Yep.
that was just left at George's house.
That's right. I'd forgotten about that because Gary had a house,
Yeah.
probably not 3 or 4 miles from where I was living,
Right.
there in Thompson Station.
Yeah. That's wild. That's a neat thing. I want you to tell me about, was it Brazil that you went to with the other
Yep.
group before you ever,
Yep.
and they were casting out demons and
Oh, wow.
What?
Yes.
Yeah, for real. That was crazy. The woman coming down
Yeah.
doing the worm.
Yes. So there was a evangelist that we used to work with, this little mixed group back home. We'd do a lot of revivals and stuff with him. And he was originally from Brazil. So he had put together this trip to go down there it was a 12-day crusade in Brazil, and had contacted us about doing the music. So, we were champing at the bits to, go do something. That was
Absolutely.
like big time
Go to Brazil,
stuff for
you
us.
kidding me?
So, yeah, we flew to Brazil. It was so strange. Literally where we would sing every night, if it was an indoor thing, once you got in there, they literally would close and padlock the doors,
Wow.
because it's Christianity is just not a
Yeah.
real happening thing there in Rio.
Yeah.
So we were singing at this place this one night, and we're up there in the middle of a song, and I look, and this lady comes out in the aisle. It was an auditorium that had a raked floor, that sloped down to the front. She gets out in the aisle and's coming down the aisle towards us, man, and about a quarter of the way down, I see her, just like her eyes roll back in her head, and she falls backwards onto the floor. And she's doing like Josh said.
Doing the backwards worm.
She's doing this worm thing coming down this aisle, this concrete floor. And literally, her head would be the first thing that would hit the floor every time.
So she obviously had no control of her body.
No. And flopping down the aisle, and I'm on that end of the stage.
And you couldn't get out. It was padlocked.
She's coming towards me, and of course by this time there's 2 or 3 guys, like security guys, got down there, and I'm telling you, she's flailing and throwing them all over the place. So a guy comes and gets me, and he's telling me what's going on, that this woman is possessed and we need to get down there and pray for her. I said, "Hey buddy, I'm a singer,
I don't even know how to pray.
But they got this lady, got her calmed down, and of course they asked her what the deal was, and she was a witch, and she was there to cast a spell on us because she had heard that we were there. Anyway, she got saved there that night.
Holy Spirit had another idea for the evening, so
it
it's amazing.
Yeah, there were some interesting things happened there in Brazil that I had never.
That
I'd
is
never been a
amazing.
part
Did
of.
you grow up Baptist or?
Baptist? Yeah, man.
So that
he
was,
really didn't know.
Oh yeah, like, holy moly.
Yeah, you're about like me. The first time I sang at a full gospel church, and it was.
Yeah,
They got with it now, and I was like, "No, I've never seen nothing like this before,"
I'm telling you.
But it was a great service.
Well, it was a great learning experience for us. We got to see a lot of things.
Gold City actually went to Brazil in 2016, I think, and so evidently things have evolved because they said it was literally like being rock stars.
Oh wow!
The people were so like lined up for forever to get in, cheering and screaming and wanting autographs and all that kind of thing. So it's interesting. Maybe things have evolved somewhat.
And they had big crowds down there then, but it was one of the things that I remember that was so bizarre. When you'd be out at night, out on the street, and I kept seeing these little candles in the gutters down the streets. So I asked somebody, "What's the deal with these?" And it was voodoo stuff.
Oh wow!
Where you could, whatever, I guess, say a voodoo prayer or whatever you do, put a hex or whatever on somebody and light this candle and set it. And I mean, it'd be
So there was
hundreds of
that
them
many
down.
of them that had
They were up and down the streets, just
had some hate in their heart,
hundreds.
I guess.
Yes.
Wow. Eesh.
So
from Brazil to Franklin, Tennessee.
that's right. Yep.
Y'all ended up moving. The other neat thing when he came to Franklin, see, I've heard a lot of these stories.
Right.
He was telling me one today that I had not heard, but he was at the tire store where a lot of the country music stars
Right.
would come have their car
Oh yeah.
worked on.
Mm-hmm.
Alan Jackson was one that you had
man.
you'd go to his house and pick up. And
He had
bring.
like 20 something cars in his garage that we maintained. So
Wow.
we'd go out. I had the gate code to his place and
Yeah.
go get his cars, and
How about that?
the
so
Jerry
that was
Reed
good.
one
That
was
is
it
neat.
Jerry
Jerry
Reed
Reed. Yeah,
begging you to go fishing. You wouldn't take you.
I told Josh, I said one of the few regrets in my life was Jerry Reed would come up there to get his car serviced or whatever. Well, he'd sit in the office for 3 or 4 hours at a time smoking cigars and telling stories.
Wow.
But he was always wanting to go fishing because he had found out that I was a big fisherman. So he'd say, "Come on, man, let's go fishing." I'm like, "Dude, I got to work. I can't." But why in the world I didn't just
Yeah.
take
Yeah,
off
for
and
real.
go fishing? Just
Take him out to Little Pond, fish a little.
Good night.
Goodness gracious.
That is amazing.
So-
so nearing the end of 1999, did you ever fill in for the Cathedrals at all? I know Glenn was out with sickness and Roger too.
Roger would do that.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't do it. I got asked to one night, and I was like, "No, man, I
I
can't.
don't believe I could have handled the pressure
way.
at that time. I mean, that was
No way."
so. But Roger would typically fill
Yeah,
Roger
Glenn's
did the
spot
part.
after Glenn passed. Because Glenn passed away.
Right, and before they
the-
ended the
Yeah.
tour. Yeah.
I'd be
crazy.
the fill-in sound man on.
Okay.
Hey, you could handle
sometime.
that.
Yeah.
I
Somewhere to
didn't
hide.
know if they ever got you on stage or whatever with them.
No, I may have gotten up there. Roger and I may have done something, because that's what I would when he'd do a solo date, I'd go with him and run sound, and then usually get up and sing a song or two with him, So we may have done that.
He wouldn't let you provide any comedy relief during that time.
Oh no, man, I was.
Did that stuff just start happening?
Yeah.
Were you doing much of that when Roger was still here, or did that evolve more when?
No, that was a lot of the. Of course, it was. I mean, and I say this in total respect, no disrespect, but it was. I mean, those first 7 years that Roger was there, it was kind of the Roger show. You
Well,
know?
yeah.
And we were kind of the backup singers, and that sounds awful, but I mean, honestly, that's
Roger was a huge character. Roger was
he was
a
larger
star.
than
He was a
life.
big personality.
People
Yeah.
loved Roger Bennett.
And he did all the MC stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, that kind of evolved a little bit. That I'd kind of turned into his straight man more or
Okay.
less. But yeah, that's another thing that a lot of people don't think about. But when all that got put in Scott's lap all of a sudden, because he had never done any of that. You know?
See, a lot of the people don't know nowadays may not know that Roger was dealing with leukemia.
Yeah.
Through that whole from the Cathedral days all the way through into Legacy 5.
Yeah.
He went into remission, but then it came
Several
back.
times. Yep.
Yeah, it came back, and he ended up passing away in 07.
07. Yep.
Yeah. So then it did fall because he and Scott were partners
Yep.
in the ownership business side of Legacy 5. It fell completely into Scott's hands.
Yep.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was those, especially the last year or two, it was so hard at the time because you never knew if Roger was going to be there that week or not. You know, he may be fine on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. You know, he'd be so sick he can't even pick his head up and just literally couldn't do it. So, bless Tim Parton's heart, he was kind of on standby. You know, and he was doing a lot of session stuff. And I mean, there were times when we would say, you know, Roger's not going to be able to make it this week. You know, can you fill in? Absolutely. Well, then, you know, Tuesday or Thursday roll around and Roger say, man, I'm feeling good. I think I'll go. And, you know, Tim had probably canceled sessions or what. So that's another thing that a lot of people don't know.
Right.
So it was hard through those years because you never knew if Roger was going to be there or not, and the fans never knew if he was going to be there. So I was concerned that once Roger was gone, if in fact he didn't beat this stuff and come out of it, if he was gone, if the group would even survive.
Yeah.
You know, because like I said, Roger was the
Legacy
point.
Legacy 5 started literally right after the Cathedrals ended. Y'all had already set everything in place.
Yep.
Actually sang at convention that year.
Yep.
As an opening, this is what we are, who we are, and then y'all immediately started touring.
Yeah.
When they finished.
Yeah, Cathedrals did their
it
goodbye matinee show.
It wasn't this is the next Cathedrals or anything like
No,
that. But
no.
it was the beauty of it is you did get to inherit a lot of the audience because
Absolutely.
of
they
those
kind of gave that
relationships.
stamp of approval.
Absolutely.
As y'all were starting.
We had a built-in fan base, which I hate even saying fans. It's
It's not.
It's
they're
friends,
just friends,
and but yeah, we were so fortunate in that, and we were concerned. Like I was going to say that if once Roger was gone, would the thing even be able to maintain itself? But again, looking back, I think that's part of that whole thing of Roger being there sometimes and not being there. Kind of was able to introduce us, so the audience could say, "Well, I saw him the other night, you know, and Roger wasn't there, and it was still tolerable."
That was probably a lot. You know what, too? That would probably allow time for you and Scott to start working that.
Yes.
I couldn't. This is the God's honest truth. I spent more time laughing on that stage at Fowler being on edge for what he was going to say and then what he might say. And the thing about it was people thought all that stuff was planned. It was rarely was anything planned. No. It just came and you'd say it, and then I couldn't sing for laughing. But it was just hysterical.
My favorite thing, we rarely worked together with the Kingsmen. When I was with the Kingsmen,
I remember one time that I was there.
We rarely worked together. And this might have been the time that
I think
that you were there.
You know what? I think we had already left at that point. You were there. But we had already turned in our notice when we actually worked with him. Go ahead. I'm taking your story. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. One of the funniest things I remember is being with y'all one night, and you were kind of pitching the Singing News Fan Awards, you know, and you were like, "Well, vote for us," or no, you said something about sending your ballot, and you said you've sent in your ballot before and you've nominated us. You said, but of course there's still votes coming up out of Broward County. And
that was it. Yeah. That was it because that would have been the 2016 election. That whole deal. That was that night. I remember that.
And the whole place erupted. I just thought
that's when because you used to do that little shtick of when they gonna get about JT or Trey winning the. Young artist. When they gonna give a award for old geezer still standing or whatever?
Right. Yeah.
And a couple of people from we were in. That was in. It was late. It was that same trip.
Okay.
That they brought a trophy to you.
Sure did.
That said
Sure
old geezer still standing.
Sure did. That's exactly right.
But it was something. One of the funniest things I've ever experienced. We were at the neat thing that we'll touch on this in a second. That Legacy 5 started doing was events, was destination events.
Yeah.
That like Opryland, the first professional as a full-time professional singer that I ever did was at Opryland, and it's the first it would have been 04. Was that the first year y'all did it, or did you do it in 03?
I was thinking it was 05, but it may have been 04.
It was 04.
Okay.
Because Mercy's Mark had started.
Oh, that's
we
right.
had just finished
Yeah.
recording, and y'all invited
right.
us
Yep.
to come over. We came over, did 4 or 5 songs.
Yep.
And there was 3,500 people
Yeah.
sitting out there, and we ain't really rehearsed. So I was scared. I don't get scared, but I was scared that night. But it was.
That was one of y'all's first gigs or first concerts?
It was the very first time we'd ever sang a note together
Oh,
outside
wow.
the studio. We'd never.
Wow.
Our dates were starting the next week, and Fowler found out and called Gary and said,
Yeah.
"Hey, why don't you come over and sing a few for the people?" And of course, the people were awesome and gave a standing ovation.
No
all that kind of
pressure.
stuff. It was great, but it was first song. My teeth were chattering. I'm sure. But those events. What I was going to say, one of the funniest things it stands out in my mind, and it was just off the cuff. But we were up there doing one of the things at Opryland, Gaylord Opryland.
Yep.
And your nose was running.
It is right.
When he gets in front of somebody, his nose starts running. Well, Scotty had on this beautiful handkerchief in his pocket square handkerchief. I mean, he had coordinated this thing kind of like you do with his tie, and
Sure.
I mean, it was he looked sharp. And we were doing that deal. We were singing out of the book, and
Oh, yeah,
some
around the little hymn book.
People are already laughing their ends off at you in the large print and all that kind of stuff. But somebody got a Kleenex or something, and you spotted that handkerchief. And Fowler said, no. And, I mean, in one swoop, grabbed it. And,
Oh, no.
Oh, it was
Mop
just.
the old snot.
But it was something like that all the time.
Yeah.
It was just, we didn't know. And what was the greatest nights was when you had new material and never told anybody. And it would just
I
come.
never knew what it was.
Well, that
It
was
just
the thing. I think you thought of most of it as we were standing there.
popped up. Yep.
But those events that you guys ended up doing, and Opryland was the first one, I think.
Yeah, that was a good one. Yep.
Oh, a good one. It was incredible.
Yep.
That place is amazing. And then I want to talk to Fowler about this too. But y'all ended up going to Colorado and doing one at the Stanley,
Yep.
one at the Greenbrier,
Yep.
Mackinac Island. You know, the Mackinac Islands where they don't have, like, you go to. Have you ever been to Mackinac Island, Chris?
No.
So you don't. So you go, and you have to get on a ferry and ferry over to the.
Okay.
But it's the Grand. You had been to the Greenbrier.
Yes.
It's the same architect that
okay.
did.
Yep.
So they're very similar.
Yeah.
The Grand may be a little more elaborate than the Greenbrier, but it's all very, very similar as
Right.
far as. So you get all, and there's no cars.
Motorized vehicles.
There's no cars. You know, they bicycles and horses and.
Oh, wow.
And there's no emissions there.
Right.
So it's emission free.
Well, they do have emissions there, but they've got guys that come along and scoop it up out of
I teed you up.
Oh, but seriously, folks.
That was one that was, but that was a really neat thing because I think we could only seat like 500 or 600 people in
Yeah.
there. So it was more intimate, and you went and spent the night in the Grand, and that was like stepping back in time to do that type thing.
That place is awesome.
The Hits and Heritage Fall Tour is now underway with Gold City, the Hoppers, and Joseph Habedank. We're coming to 8 states and 9 cities, including Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, Indiana, Illinois, South Carolina, Ohio, and North Carolina. We're so excited. This tour is presented by Destiny Rescues. Go to goldcityministries.com or goldcityevents.com. Go ahead and join us for the Hits and Heritage Fall Tour. You're not going to want to miss it. We'll see you there.
You had said a few things to me about with Jalen because y'all had adopted Jalen. You got Mallory, who's how old now? Should we even say?
33.
Golly,
Isn't that
and
crazy?
she's married and got a baby.
Yep.
And then Grant's
26.
Yeah.
Jenna's 22.
Well, and you adopted Jenna.
Yeah. Adopted Jenna when she was 2.
Tell the audience where she was, because this is a neat story.
So Jenna was, well, back up just a little bit. Kelly and I had always said that we wanted to adopt at some point. Even before we married, we had talked about that. And so that was our intentions, but we never had even looked at international adoption, had just never even, not that we were against it, just hadn't thought about it.
Right.
So when it finally came time, we felt like this is the time we need to do this. We started looking at adoption and talking to some people, and I mean, it was 3 or 4 different unrelated people that pointed us towards a little orphanage in Siberia. I mean, the most
Wow.
Yeah, Siberia,
remote.
Russia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's where Jenna was, and again, God worked stuff out. You know,
When you think that, you think Russian, you think that certain look, Ukrainian, Russian look. But there's a lot of Asian move,
she's
Eskimo Asian type.
right.
look.
She's what they call native Russian over there, which her tribe is Koryak.
Yeah.
Which is, we would say Inuit or Eskimo.
Yeah.
Right.
And in Russia, they are kind of that's not a popular ethnicity.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So her likelihood of even being adopted was almost zero in that orphanage. And I mean, literally, those orphanages, they would have kids, I think until they were 8 is as long as they could stay in the orphanage.
Golly.
And then they're out. So there's these, sex traffickers and
Oh my
yeah.
goodness.
I mean, they're literally waiting for those kids to get out of the orphanage, and they just snatch them up. So
What do they do?
It's
Just
horrible.
release them to society? Or?
Yep.
So it's like 18-year-olds here.
So
in
they're on
foster care.
they're on the streets. I mean, there's a lot of kids over there on
Absolutely
the streets,
horrible.
panhandling or selling. So anyway, yeah, that was we were led there, and the whole adoption process. I mean, it was just a matter of months for us to go through that. It was super quick because normally it took years for that to happen. They waived that Russia at the time. You had to go twice. You went the first time to interview for the government to even determine if you were eligible to adopt one of their kids, and then you would go back to get the child. But this orphanage was so remote that they waived that second trip and let us do it all in one trip, which was great because you couldn't schedule that time. You just had to be ready when they called and said, "Hey, you can come now." So I never knew when it was going to be, and as it turned out, I think I missed 2 dates because we had a 2-week off time while I was gone over there. So I think I missed 2 dates when we left, and then we were off that whole time I was gone. So I didn't have to miss time on the road. So,
But you ended up. So what's really wild about that whole story, Jenna, she didn't know how to crawl. There was processes because they just basically stuck them in a crib.
Yep.
There's not a lot of developmental things that happen. Y'all had to actually teach her to crawl so that she would develop.
Yeah, it was
There's a lot of
interesting.
things there.
She would she literally would wear the knees out on her pants crawling, and this was after she was, well, like I say, she was a little over 2 when we got her. So we're at a doctor's office one day for a checkup, and everything was good. And they said, do you have any questions, or have you noticed anything? And I said, well, yeah, she crawls all the time, and she could walk. So I tell her, Jenna, stand up and walk. And the doctor told us that there's a part of your brain that you have to crawl in order for that part of your brain to form like it should.
Wow.
And so that's what she was.
What it was doing, she was catching up.
Right. She was doing that. She didn't know why, but her brain was telling her, hey, you need to crawl. And when she got that worked out, then she was up and going at that point. I mean,
so when you got her,
very
you
interesting.
missed a couple of dates there.
Yep.
And Jenna has grown up and doing extremely well, and she's
Yep.
one of the sweetest people anyone would ever meet. She's incredible.
She's 23.
23.
Yep.
And then when I was there, the first weekend that we were, the first time we did Opryland, so I came in November, end of October, November of 15.
Okay.
And then we did Opryland for the New Year's Eve thing, and that's when I first met, or first got to hang out. I'd met Kelly and the family, but Jalen
Jalen was just
he was little.
baby.
He was
Yep.
2. How old is he now?
He's 12.
Yeah, so that would have been
Yep.
yeah, he would have been 2. he because of Brandy and I doing the photography for so long and everything, I was really good with kids, and and he gravitated to me. Well, he sat in my lap the whole time we played, and but y'all were just keeping him at that time.
Yep.
They were in another ministry that helped moms that had problems within their church. Moms that y'all took her in.
Yeah, it was called Jonah's Journey, which it was incarcerated women that were pregnant.
Yeah.
So we had families in place that would take the child once the child was born, and I mean you literally had power of attorney while mom's incarcerated, and then when mom comes out, you reunite them and try to get them.
Yeah, but part of it was y'all
right,
mentoring her too.
Sure.
It was a whole ministry thing, and it just, the situation with that's what y'all were doing at that time.
Yeah.
And bless her heart, it wasn't working.
Yeah.
And so long story short, you ended up getting to adopt Jalen.
Right.
And it was a long story short because that was a process, and
Yeah, it was several years.
That's where you find out adoption in America is a little bit more expensive than adoption in Russia. It was crazy what was happening with all that, and it was mind blowing to me because of the process with what they had already done and then what was be asked to do. Now it's a bit ridiculous, seemed like a racket, but you ended up getting Jalen. So that when you got the official go to the courtroom, all that kind of stuff with Jalen, you had to miss a date.
Okay.
We were in Anniston, Alabama. I remember that, and I remember it well because I think it was JT had to sing baritone. Josh Townsend had to sing baritone along with us, and then you came the next day. So that's another time that you missed. One of the other times you missed was in Hawaii. See, I got this stuff.
Oh, gosh.
That's the only dates you've ever missed. Was the Hawaii debacle when y'all were you on a cruise over there? With
Cruise, yeah, we did a cruise. There were several groups on there. I don't remember who all was on there, but it was one of those. You fly to Hawaii and get on the cruise ship and then cruise the islands.
Okay, yeah.
It was one of those deals. So we flew over there, flew into Honolulu, got on this cruise ship, and of course I'd never been to Hawaii, so I'd never been on this cruise ship. But I wasn't feeling good when I got on there, and I thought I had some kind of a stomach bug. So I asked our little room steward. I said, "Man, where's the infirmary?" He said, "What's the problem?" I told him. He said, if you've got a stomach virus and you go to the infirmary, they're going to quarantine you and everybody in your cabin. So I said, well, I don't want to do that. So I got off the ship and got me a bottle of Pepto and sat up there chugging Pepto.
That don't fix it, nothing will.
But it just kept getting worse, and so I finally ended up going to the infirmary, and he said, "Yeah, I think you've got appendicitis, but you'll have to have a scan." So here's country come to town. I don't know anything. I said, well, okay, can you? He said, no, I can't do that. You have to go to the hospital. So I just left out of the infirmary, went and got on a cab and went to the hospital. And
that's a good thing about being, at least you weren't at sea because you're in
right.
Hawaii. It's just
we were in Kauai.
Yeah.
I go to the hospital and they get me in there and do this scan. Yeah, you got appendicitis. I said, okay, well, what do we need to do? He's like, well, you gotta have surgery. Yeah. Well, I didn't bring a toothbrush or a pair of underwear or anything. I was like, oh my goodness. So anyway, I have the surgery, and
they had to go on without you.
They went on.
The cruise.
So let me back up because this is funny. The night before I finally went to the infirmary, man, I'm sick. I can't hardly stand up straight because it just hurts so bad. So I told Fowler, I said, man, I'll be down there tonight, but I'm just going to get there just in time to sing. So my cabin was literally at the opposite end of the ship from where the ballroom was on the far end. So I got dressed that night, and I'd put on a pair of like khaki pants. Mm-hmm. So I'm walking down there to the ballroom. It's about 15 minutes before we're going to start, and stomach just. So I thought, maybe I need to get me a Coke. Maybe that'll help my stomach. So I walked over there and got me a Coke at the little fountain thing.
Cost you $5.
Yeah, right. And I sat down there and set my Coke on the table, and it turned over and dumped the whole thing right in my lap with these khaki pants. So I'm back. I had to go all the way to the other end of the ship. And that's when, by the time I made it back and made it through that night, I was like, man, I got to do something. So
That was appendicitis.
So
So
then
you
I
stayed and they had to do surgery.
they did surgery. So
Yep.
I stayed in there the rest of the cruise was over. And so I was supposed to be released on this morning of the day that we're going to fly out of Honolulu to go back home. So the doctor comes in and releases me like 10 o'clock that morning. So I said, well, I can get me a flight back over to Honolulu, get with everybody and go home. So, man, I got up out of that bed and went to get a shower. And again, I couldn't even stand up straight. I'm like, there's no way. So I ended up
more days.
Yeah, I stayed another night and then flew home. So yeah, that was my Hawaii
Well,
trip.
it's amazing time. The only time you ever been.
Only time I've
You know,
ever.
they went back the year after you. It was already planned, and we missed out on that one because we.
I told Kelly I was going to take her back over there, but I guess I better get busy. I'm gonna go.
Or you'll have to join back up with some group that's going to go. So
Well,
you
yeah,
might need to get busy.
yeah, or
Yeah. So anyway, when we were leaving, we left Legacy 5 at the same time. You had developed an incredible relationship with Mike Hedden, with Danley Sound, Danley Sound Labs, which is Danley is an incredible company, but Mike is Christian to the core. He's very evangelical and
Yep.
operates his business that way.
Yep.
And to see the things that have happened with Danley before and now that you're there, they're basically all the big stadiums are calling. Disney, they replaced all of Meyer and all the Disney all the Disney parks. It's been crazy. But that's where Scott went into from Legacy 5, working for Mike and with Danley. And that's been a nice little thing,
Yep.
hasn't it?
Yeah, he and I. So Danley had supplied Legacy 5 with our gear for the last, I don't know, I guess
4 or 5 years.
Yeah, several years. So that's how I'd gotten to know Mike, and he and I kind of became hunting buddies. He's a big hunter, and like Josh was saying, just a super good guy. And so anyway, when I finally determined that I was going to come off the road, I called Mike just to tell him, hey man, say a little prayer for me because I'm getting ready to leave here and I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do. And I said, and believe it or not, people aren't beating my doors down to hire a 60-year-old washed up gospel music singer. So
Even though I just won this nice award.
yeah, you may have heard about that. So Mike was, again, just being the guy he is, he's like, man, we'd love for you to come and help us work this thing. So the company's based out of Gainesville, Georgia. So I was living in Tennessee. So I went and talked with Kelly, and we started looking at properties over there. And so I went and sat down and kind of interviewed, I guess, with Mike and the guys at Danley, and we got all that worked out. And so I was asking Mike about moving. He said, man, you don't need to move. You just need to stay where you are.
Well, they kind of needed somebody in the Nashville area anyway.
Yep, we'd never really done anything in this area. So again, that's God just puts stuff in place and works things out. But it's been a great time there. Again, it's so hard to find a company that, Mike he'll stand and tell the whole company, hey, we've got to sell speakers to keep the doors open, but we're here to spread the gospel. That's what our business is. We just do it through loudspeakers. So, it's just, that's hard to find anywhere. Yeah. So it's been such a blessing just to be able to work for those guys, but to see how the company has grown. This was the company's 20th year, and it's just, like Josh was saying, we've kind of gotten into this stadium thing. We used to not. That was kind of almost unheard of the first few years of the company. We were the church. We were the church sound system company. But now we started doing these stadiums, and so most of the major collegiate stadiums, the Alabamas and Georgias and LSU's and all the big ones.
You got it covered. Alabama, you covered it.
Yeah, that's right. But then we started doing NFL stadiums, and this year.
The first time I heard of Danley, Scott Smith he called
Yep.
me. He had went to a Falcons
Yep.
pregame.
In
I
Mercedes.
don't know how he gets invited.
Oh, he gets
It's
in everywhere,
crazy.
man.
But he was at this Falcons pregame thing, and Danley had set up some speakers, and they were directional.
Okay.
So he said, he said, you got to hear this stuff. He lived over in that area.
Yeah.
He said,
Yeah.
I was on this side of the place, and it was coming through like a rock concert. He said, I walked around to the other side, and it wasn't even
Couldn't
on.
hear it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was so directional. But Tom
Yeah.
Danley developed that technology. Who
Yeah.
did a lot? He did a lot of NASA
Yeah.
audio.
Oh yeah, he's
Brilliant.
got a bunch of patents that he's done through the years.
Yeah.
He's
when
a
you get
genius.
ready to convert Red Rocks and the Sphere, I'll take those weekends
There you
off
go.
from Gold City, and y'all can put me on the payroll for just those two
Yeah, man.
events.
Or just cover his expenses.
Just
and he'll
cover
call
my
it
expense.
even.
Yeah, I just want to watch. I just want to be there.
That Sphere thing is crazy, isn't it?
nutty.
It is.
That's very neat.
Wow.
Man, thanks for coming on with us.
Are we through?
We talked for nearly an hour here.
Oh wow.
It's funny how it goes, ain't it?
I know
Yep.
it goes.
We'll do it
fast.
again. We come back
Yeah.
to Lawrenceburg. We'll just sit down and talk about
Anytime you're in
next
Lawrenceburg.
time. Well, I've learned anytime we're going to go to Schaefer's. That's one thing.
Yeah, boy.
Texas barbecue, buddy brisket.
That's why you sit. I'm eating my Tom's over
Yeah,
here.
you're right now. But that place is incredible. Don't
It's
tell
good.
anybody though, 'cause we don't want to be too popular and we can't get in. So,
No. Well,
but-
thank y'all for letting me come and
man, yeah, it was.
take up y'all's time.
My
here.
time traveling with you was as fun as anything I've ever done, and it was, you and I hung out a lot together. It was-
Yep.
And it's so funny because now our phones will call each other and we don't even know why.
Yeah, most times it's because we didn't intend to.
Hello,
I
hello.
know.
Then we'll talk. I don't know what it is. It's the wildest thing. It's like a number, but. So I started it. I pick up the phone. It says Colin Scott Howard. I'm like, well, what? And he answered, so we talked. And it wasn't long that it happened with him. So I guess it's just
Yeah, mine will just be in my
Just
pocket.
pocket dialing.
yeah. The
Yeah.
Lord says, all right, it's time to talk to Howard. So
But it was a good. I mean, I tell folks all the time. That whole time with the Legacy 5, I mean, I heard so many, not horror stories. I was going to say horror stories, but stories of guys on buses and in groups
Yeah.
that just, it was all time junk
Yeah.
going on or
Yeah.
fussing and fighting. And I mean,
it wasn't the way.
we never had that. It was always fun and good. And
Absolutely.
so I'm appreciative of my time there and for Scott letting me be around all that time.
That's shoot, man.
So it
We
was
were a
good.
huge asset. Anything needed done, the first move was go, where's Howard? We need to talk to Howard. Something's wrong.
Where's Howard?
So thanks for joining us, man.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Scott.
My pleasure.